You're now listening to the podcast for geeks and stuff they love, where each week we'll talk about everything from anime to movies, games, and prop collecting with the people that create and love it. I'm Jeromy.
I'm Vinz.
I'm James.
I'm Logan.
And this is your Geek Fix. Welcome, fellow otaku. This today we're going to be talking a little bit about anime. Just out of curiosity, how do you guys typically watch anime? Or how do you prefer to watch anime? Do you watch the dub version in English or some other language, or do you watch the original version and read the subtitles, or try to translate it? How do you usually watch?
It's in my case, it typically depends what anime. For example, I've watched Death Note and Code Geass dubbed into English, and if I try to watch it now in Japanese subbed, it's just impossible for me because the characters have those voices. But pretty much everything else is subbed, like in Japanese and then English subtitles.
Really depends. So most of them subs with subtitles. Sometimes if the acting quality is good enough, I'll do a dub. But in the Netherlands, we have a pretty small dub scene that officially dubs, like Pokemon and all that kind of stuff. And then you can hear the voices, and you grew up with it. But you hear those voices in every dubbed comic or cartoon. It's just always the same people.
Right.
It's just one company doing the dubs for everything in the Netherlands.
But it's more than one person that they use, right? Like
yeah. It's not, you are the male voice.
That's right, yeah.
No, but there are some actors that have a very typical voice, and they come back everywhere, like DuckTales and Dragon Ball. Like Brock has the same voice as Huey, Louie, and the other one, Dewey. so it's the same actor. So it's
like without going squeaky or high too.
No, he goes squeaky, but it's the same.
Oh,
guy,
he does.
So yeah.
That's pretty good. How about you, Logan?
Gosh, I've watched subbed for like just for most everything for the most part, but I've also done I've watched French dub One Piece. I've watched 4Kids dub One Piece. I've watched English dub a lot of different things. I noticed like the same thing as like what Vince has brought up and that sort of thing. Like I have like preference for certain ones, I guess. Like Fullmetal Alchemist, I can't watch subbed just because the dub is just so good. It's really nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I've also watched like Doraemon dubbed in Tagalog. It's just weird.
Dubbed in Tagalog, for real?
Yeah.
Is that fan dubbed or is that official?
Oh, well, I mean, like, they had it playing on the TVs there and stuff. I would just be, like, sitting around and there would be, like, kids just, like, sitting and watching Doraemon and whatever, so, yeah.
In the Philippines?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's one of the shows that I can't watch without it being in Spanish either.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So we did run a poll on this very question. So how do you prefer to watch anime? 38% said English dub. 38% also said Japanese with English sub. 0 said dubbed in another language, but 3% subbed in another language. And then 21%, I have never watched anime. I question that. I don't think that's possible. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that don't realize what is anime. Like half the shows when I was a kid, I didn't realize were actually anime. And we're
Corey in the house, right?
You know, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, at any rate, they also left some. There's also some comments here, which I guess are pretty true too. So, Seelan's. Oh boy, I'm gonna get these names wrong. So, Seelan Sloot, I think it is, said it'd be like with everything else. I can't watch it. The show read in subtitles at the same time, but then there's the problem that the translation almost always stinks. But then I could at least follow the storyline. So then I'm going to say this one in pieces. Kafak Makak. If you watch Japanese anime without the original voice actors, you're actually watching the anime. English voice actors be sounding corny as heck. I've heard that. I understand that. Although, have you ever noticed, like, so when it's English dubbed, they try to match the mouth flaps, so it looks like they're actually talking with that. Whereas the original Japanese version won't match up with the voice all the time. So they're a little bit more lazy about it. Whereas, when they dub it over, they have to, of course, try to match the mouth itself. But that's not what we're talking about today. Oh, no. What we're talking about today is much more interesting. This is about the good, the bad, and the ugly of anime. Not just different anime, but the same series that there's multiple versions of. And part of what brought this up in my head was the fact that we have One Piece, the live version of One Piece that is coming out very soon. That's coming out for Netflix. So this looks pretty impressive. I mean, they built the full sets, whereas they could have just done this all just special effects. These are full-blown ships that they have built, like Arlong and stuff like that. This is being filmed in Africa, so they have the full boats. They have an actual small town. It looks pretty impressive, but we haven't seen any actual scenes from the show yet. There's a lot of fan-made things that are out there, but what do you think of this?
I'm hyped.
What's that?
Like, I'm hyped about it. I think it's sick.
It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
Luffy, the actor for Luffy, I could see being a good Luffy. He's pretty tall, too, is the other thing. I wasn't sure if it was going to look more like they have live shows in Japan for One Piece, and I thought it would be kind of something more along the lines of what that looks like. But yeah, this comes out next year is the current plan. But these leaked things that they've been filming and they've been releasing online, they've only done recently. So I'm guessing they're still really just still building things. But at the same time, has everyone here's watched One Piece? I'm guessing everybody everywhere has seen One Piece at some point in time. I saw some
piece of One Piece.
You've seen one piece of One Piece?
like the first season, I'm trying to get through it, but it's just not my tempo at all.
So they're about to release, or this is the time of their 1,000th episode, which, the reason why I stopped watching a while back was because the arcs are hard to get through. Some of them just they just go. Seeing 6 episodes to carry one conversation is a little hard at times, and that's true with like Dragon Ball and stuff too. There comes to be that point in the series where you're like, I seeing the end is going to help to know at least. I think I'm feeling more motivated to return to the series because now I know there is actually an end that's coming up, and so knowing that that's there, I think I'd return to it. I actually started watching the early episodes with my daughters recently, and that's been kind of fun to go back to the beginning. It's funny, I didn't remember the storyline going that fast in that first season.
It's so slow for me, so it's going slower.
Go back and try it again. Maybe what you need is a different version of One Piece, Vinz.
True.
Maybe what you need right here. This you can get through pretty quickly. So Cup Noodle decided to release a One Piece series. Technically, it was just an advertisement that you'd see, between shows. But at the same time, it was One Piece High School, and it doesn't look half bad. I kind of like the art style on it. I wish they would have done more with it. Nami looks kind of like Nami. I like Zoro. I like some of the other character versions that they have. The best one is Chopper that's coming up here. Just looks like a normal person wearing the hat.
It looks a bit like a Your Name parody from the art style.
It does.
True. Yeah.
I certainly would watch a version like this.
Would you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. If Studio Ghibli released One Piece, this is what it would look like. But it doesn't look half bad. But the other version So there used to be a company, actually, yeah, it used to be a company. It was called 4Kids, which made a lot of animation. Actually, they were the equivalent of what now would be Funimation, where they just did dubs and distribution in the U.S. of different shows, different anime. And they got a hold of, I mean, they did Pokemon, some other ones. What are some other
Yu-Gi-Oh!
4Kids?
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh! That's right, they did Yu-Gi-Oh!
Zatch-Bell,
Which
I
explains
think.
the intro
Digimon, I
song.
think, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Digimon, Digital Monsters. Yeah, there you go. They didn't know what they were buying though when they bought One Piece. I think they really thought that it was popular. They knew it was popular, and so they had the opportunity to purchase rights to dub it and to alter it significantly. And then I think when they started watching it, which they only what I've found out is that they were really only receiving these episodes one at a time. I think it was actually at the time that they were still making some of these episodes. So they'd receive an episode and they would change it because their demographic was basically 3 to, I don't know, 11, something like that. And little kids, in an effort to try and make it, safer. And so what they did is they were determined to remove things like blood. You couldn't have any type, smoking. So instead of cigarettes or cigars, they would replace them with lollipops, or in some cases, there's a character in One Piece that the whole character is about smoking. He has 2 large cigars that stick out of his face, but in the 4Kids version, all that comes out of his face is just smoke. There's no cigars. Weapons, they'd replace weapons. So in one scene that we're looking at right now, you have the kids running along. There's instead of a bat, there's a cup thing. There's a spatula instead of a shovel, because apparently a shovel is too dangerous. That's like NC-17 stuff right there. But at any rate, so they remove all those things. They would remove blood, so which doesn't sound like a bad thing, but for context purposes, it was sometimes hard to tell. Oh yeah, change people's skin color. And this is the best. This is definitely the best one. So you got in the original version. This is the second episode, I think it was. So when they went to save Zoro, which by the way is called Zolo in the 4Kids version. The only name that they changed of the main crew. No explanation why. I don't know why they changed it.
I think copyright with Zoro.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know if you've watched far enough into the One Piece series, the actual One Piece series, they eventually make fun of the 4Kids version. So Usopp refers to Zoro in one episode as Zolo. You remember that, Logan?
I feel like I do. I just don't remember exactly. It was
pretty
where.
funny, yeah. But only people that knew the joke would get it. But at the same time, yeah. So right here we have 2 versions. One where the bad guy's holding a gun to his head, which they don't like guns. So either it can't be a gun or it has to be a pop gun, like it has a little cork in it. Yeah. And so here they changed the gun altogether into, what would that be? I don't know. It has a spring attached to a hammer, and I guess
whatever it is,
it
looks very menacing.
Yeah, it does. It looks more problematic than the first one, doesn't it? Especially
there's a very similar scene in the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! When they're on Duelist Island, and the character Kaiba is in. I can't remember exactly, but he's got a briefcase filled with the technology to make the new holodiscs or something along those lines, and you have bodyguards come in, and in the original version they have guns and they're pointing the guns at the character, but in the 4Kids version they're just pointing their fingers, and it makes they don't even replace it with anything, they just point fingers.
Yeah, that also happened in One Piece as well. Yeah, and there is one other series where they also did that, so it made no sense. There's a scene I'll talk about in a second that loses all context because you don't see anything. But this is the one I don't get, is they had 2 versions of the Grand Line. So in one version, in the one scene on the actual show, they have an arrow that indicates the line. In the other version, there's no arrow. They got rid of the arrow. Like, that was a problem, apparently. Luffy, in one of the early episodes, he has a shirt that famously says anchor on it, and then has a picture of an anchor. So they had to censor that out, naturally, because we all know what that means. Oh, yeah. Here's the, like I said, so the other thing that we've got going on is the guns had to be, if we were going to show a gun, it has to be a cork gun or a pop gun. So they add in a cork to show that this isn't a real gun. It's a cork gun, and you can see the little string hanging down from the cork that comes back to the gun. That way, when it pops out, you don't lose your cork, right? And there's a scene that's pretty brutal in the original series where one of the characters gets shot in the head. But that's okay. It's just a cork gun. But if you watch, smoke is coming out of the cork gun. So yeah, a little intense. Change the Marines to the Navy. Change wine to fruit juice. Again, yeah, changing cigarettes to popsicle, or not popsicles, but lollipops. But the one thing that's really hard is they didn't, like I said, they didn't know what was coming up next. So they're just doing these episodes one episode at a time. And sometimes they'd even remove an entire episode. If the episode they felt was too brutal, too boring, they just get rid of it, thinking, well, that won't be a problem. Includes the episode where they go to the actual Grand Line, where they meet. What's the name of the whale?
The whale, Laboon.
Laboon, right?
Oh yeah,
Laboon. They didn't want Laboon. Who would? So I don't know if it's because of the scars or because
it's the self-abuse.
It involves self-abuse that was going on.
it's a very touching story, though. You kind of need it.
Yeah.
Well, it's important later on. Like, the whole reason why they meet Brooke and Brooke's tale is tied back to the whale. So if we remove the whale, that storyline changes dramatically. So they basically made it where just they replaced him with an iceberg. So they run into an iceberg, and then they blow it up, and then they move on. But in other scenes,
global
it
warming,
gets really crazy.
Yeah, that was a bit more brutal in the anime, when they blew up the whale.
Yeah. but yeah, that's right. But the animal rights people won't come after him, I guess, for blowing up an iceberg. I don't know. Yeah. But here we also have scenes that they had several scenes that you can't really have the same play out unless there's some level of violence. So they didn't want to show knives. They didn't want to show swords doing things. They don't want to see people getting bloody or anything like that. So they cleaned it all up, and then they just assumed it would all make sense. So you got one version, which is the original version, where we get to see the weapons. We see some cutting. We see a stabbing. But in the 4Kids version, we have no idea. For all we know, Zoro has a kidney stone. It's the way that it acts. It looks, instead of getting stabbed by Buggy the pirate. Same thing here. I can't remember which episode this was. But people just start falling down in their version. And then they added Nami looking on just terrified for some reason. And there's nothing happening during that period of time. But nonetheless, and Luffy can't even become mad because why would he? Nothing's happening. So yeah, they had a lot of things like this, which is interesting because later on, I'm going to close this window here. Later on, they eventually go bankrupt. 4Kids does, and they stop making shows altogether. But they decided to go ahead and make a final episode of One Piece. And do you know how that episode ends? Any random guesses?
They find the One Piece.
They find the One Piece. Things turn out happy. The whale shows up clean. No. What happens is they're sailing away. Things are kind of wrapping up. They look up in the sky, and a ship falls on them and kills them all. Roll credits. That is literally how it ends. The only thing that would be funnier than that is if it then said, "Don't do drugs." Yeah. After all that avoiding everything, they wipe out the crew, and that's how they end it. They didn't let it just kind of continue on. Yeah, and they sailed on. Nope. They kill them off and
how many people were on the crew at that point?
I think because they did get to Brooke. I don't remember if they had any of the other characters.
What
So
I could have sworn was like they had ended things off at a filler arc. It's like the Rainbow Mist and that sort of thing. So like around that time it was right before Alabasta began, because they didn't want to have, or well, wait, no, because Alabasta was dubbed. It was before Skypiea and like Jaya began. So that would have been just Robin, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Luffy, and Zoro. So
because Brooke was introduced a fair bit after.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. So he didn't make it into their series.
No.
Yeah.
That would have been really hard.
It wouldn't have been as impactful.
Body that's walking around.
Yeah. Who did we meet, Logan?
Huh?
We met one of the voice actors. We met Robin.
We met Robin. Yeah.
Yeah. That was kind of cool. Dressed as it happens, Brooke. So there you go.
Oh,
right?
what? No. I was dressed as Brooke.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah, I got that on video. Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, One Piece is a good example, but we're gonna explore some even better examples of multiple versions of the same show. And so and I gotta say, some of these, I also want to get a feel for it. I mean, what's your favorite version? I'm guessing so far from what we've discussed, 4Kids is probably your favorite version. I know. But
it's the most nostalgic version.
It is kind of the most nostalgic one because it was definitely around long before. Now, by the way, if they wouldn't have gone out of business, Funimation wouldn't have been able to purchase One Piece. So there was an upside to that story, which is that's when Funimation came out later that year. So to
be fair though, like 4Kids did finish One Piece. Like there wasn't anything for Funimation to buy afterwards.
That's right? Yeah. They're dead. What are they coming back for? Yeah. It seemed like some of the voice actors seemed like they had similar voices. The worst voice in that show was probably Sanji. He had some kind of weird Italian. He's like, "Hey, what's going on? I don't know what's happening right now." That's literally Sanji in the 4Kids version of One Piece.
Just like your hot dog animal style?
The song was also the best. The 4Kids version began with "Yo," and then was nothing but calling out each of the characters like "Go Luffy, go Zolo, go Zolo." Anyway. So this video is all about you. That's right, you, the viewer, the subscriber, the member of our community. Now our videos are supposed to be about making and collecting things that are geeky in every way, but most of them feature me, and the whole point of this channel is to bring together our community, and that includes you. We want to see your collections. We want to see the things that you make, the things that you're passionate about, to hear your stories, to hear what you like. Tell us about that movie that you liked, or the con that you went to, or the thing that you just bought or made. Or maybe you have an idea or a question, something that you're wanting to work on. Maybe you want some feedback, because chances are we want to hear about it. I'd really like to start having our videos end with things that are made by our community that feature you. And of course, we'll put any links that you want in the description at the bottom of those videos. In case you didn't hear, we also have a podcast, and again, we want to be able to talk about the things that you're doing, the things that you're interested in. So send us some stories, some questions, whatever you want that we might be able to consider to talk about. So get together your videos, your stories, your pictures, your questions, and send them to yourgeekfix@gmail.com. We respond pretty quickly, and we'll check in with you before we go doing anything with anything that you send us. So please write us. We're excited to hear from you. And stay tuned for more from your Geek Fix. So I want to get a feel for some of your favorite versions of some of these shows, and which ones you kind of find to be your go-tos. The next one is actually one that I've seen all three of these versions. One of those is Attack on Titan. So there's three versions, really. There is Attack on Titan, the original series. There's the live movie version, or series that was done for Netflix. And then there is Attack on Titan Junior High. Honestly, my favorite. So yep. Depends on your interest level. All of them are pretty similar. Have you guys seen all these? Is there a favorite that you have?
I personally haven't seen the high school one. I've seen the original anime one with Japanese with English subtitles. And I've seen the film. I don't know if it's the Netflix film. I've seen an Attack on Titan film, and it was extremely janky, but I loved it because of how awful it was, in my opinion.
Yeah. There's a lot of they use puppets for a lot of the Titans, which looks kind of interesting.
No, I think it's like Team America or something.
Not quite to that level. Like it wasn't like action figures that somebody's like
they're going like clash.
Not the Muppets. Like a giant like Kermit like coming out.
Yeah. Whee! No, it's yeah. No, they did do a good job though on the kind of amorphic aspects and some of the brutal aspects of it, but naturally the first version is pretty heavy. I mean, the very first episode, the main character watches his mom get ripped in half and eaten, which just drives him forward in his determination. The same thing happens in the live version. There is more than one version of the live versions, but this is the only one that I had seen, so I couldn't find the other version. So yeah, those are the main ones. Those are the ones that most people are aware of. But the middle school version, let me tell you about that. So naturally, it's kind of a chibi, I don't know, what do you call that style right there? Like everybody's kind of they're not quite teeny tiny versions, but they've got that look to them. And the whole storyline is that basically they are in a junior high school where it's divided into two sections. You really have two junior highs. There's one that's for the regular sized people, and there's one for the Titans. And unlike in the original series, where the whole fear is that the Titans are eating them and destroying their property and things, or well, they still destroy their property. The biggest issue with the middle school version, the junior high version, is that they keep taking their food. So every time they bring lunch to school, the Titans take it and they eat it, and then all the kids get real mad about that because they had their box lunch. They had brought their check out the size. Yeah. So they go and they're constantly trying to get revenge or to try to get things back from the Titans that have been taken away by them. So they're not interested in eating people. They literally spit them out. It's just like their box lunch that they really want. And so they spend their whole time trying to get that stuff back. There's one episode actually, the whole focus was like in most of these middle school versions of shows, they have a fair that they've got to put on, and the issue is that when they go to put on the fair, of course the Titans ate all of the stuff, and so now they're mad at the Titans, and but then they also feel bad for the Titans because they realize the reason why it was all eaten was because the Titans just want to be involved. That's all they want. Just, so.
Misunderstood, yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
It sounds like 4 kids levels of censorship.
It is. What's funny is actually there's quite a bit of stuff in that. I mean, it's definitely not for kids, this version, but it's funny. It's closer to a slice of life, I'd say, show than anything else. But yeah, so there you go. Attack on Titan, junior high. I think it's junior high, not middle school. I don't think they refer to it as middle school over there. But so that's that version. If you're listening to this, make sure too to let us know if there's other versions of things that you want to see or hear about. Let's talk about one more though. This one I think is the most involved when it comes to versions of it. So Death Note. You guys mentioned being aware of Death Note and having watched it. What version of Death Note do you like most?
100% the dubbed.
Which version though?
The English dubbed.
The 4 kids.
The 4 kids version. It is pretty good.
He's writing in his diary all the people that be mean to him.
There isn't even a diary. They had to edit that part out. It's a lollipop. But yeah, actually, give me a guess.
This guy's going to get really sick tomorrow. He has to stay home from school.
That's right. The middle school version. Yeah. So give me a guess. How many versions of Death Note do you think there is?
1, 2, 3,
6, I guess.
4.
Yeah, like
6?
5.
Yeah, I'll stick with
cheating.
Vince. 6.
All right,
sounds like
here
a
we
good
go.
number.
So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
wow.
12. 12 versions of Death Note. And I'm going to go through them with you a little bit. So there's the original anime. This is the one that most people are probably aware of or watched. I thought this was actually the version, to me, that was the original version. But that came out in 2006 to 2007. That same year, in 2006, was the first live movie version, which is pretty good. Death Note 2 then came out in 2006. The name of that one is Last Name Live Movie. That was the live version also. So we have 2 versions of the live before we even have a second version of the anime. Those 2 versions, though, of the live anime or of the live series, the 2 movies that got released, I think are the best versions of One Piece. Period.
One Piece?
Oh, Death Note.
Yep, or One Piece. Yep. Sorry, I forgot to go back to One Piece. Did I mention for kids? No, Death Note. For Death Note, I think that I'm going to edit that. I think the best
One
version.
piece you've ever seen.
The best One Piece, because at least it ended. No, yeah. The
One
best
Piece is
version.
missing more Death Note, yeah.
Yeah.
With quicker
best-
things, I guess.
Make the arc
The
shorter.
best version of Death Note was definitely the live versions 1 and 2. And here's my debate of the reason why. In this version, L is still alive at the end of the movie. So L is there when Light dies. What do you think of that?
Spoiler.
Yeah, big
Yeah,
spoilers.
no, it's 2006.
We'll need spoiler
We need a
warnings
little
on that.
sign back here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put a little sign up. Spoiler. And really, because there is multiple versions. There is a lot of different ways that this tends to go. But you tell me if I'm wrong. But after L died in the anime, or at least in one version of the anime, I had a hard time continuing. I watched it all the way the rest of the way through.
People
but-
always say that Death Note can be a bit long, but I thought that 26 episodes was just about right.
Yeah.
Obviously,
lengthwise,
the
it's not
11
bad.
that's after don't exist.
Yeah.
It's up to that point when he doesn't go on anymore. Anything after that
Right.
isn't Death Note.
Yeah.
It's One
That's
Piece.
true.
It's One Piece.
Yeah,
It's the beginning. It's the origin story of One Piece.
The Death Note is the One Piece.
I
Solid.
think I don't know. After L left and the individual, I'm not even going to call him by his letter name, that replaced him afterwards. I didn't. No, I just wasn't into it. I don't know.
No, I think that's a
is
general
anyone
consensus.
a big fan or?
Yeah,
What's
I've
that?
heard
Is
that
it?
from a lot of
Okay.
people. However, I kind of liked it, honestly.
Did
Which
you?
is kind of a bad take, but I don't really care because
So support it. What's the reason that you liked the other character?
I mean I can say it. However, I don't totally remember a ton. I just remember that like there was certain ends of things that like I just felt like they were resolved and everything. Like I didn't like the fact that like I mean it was like a Succession sort of thing and like their characters weren't like all that cool. I remember one of them was obsessed with chocolate and I haven't really watched it in a long time. However, I felt like it was concluded just kind of like nicely in a way. And like I don't know.
There's alternate versions, I think. There's an alternate ending.
Yeah, well, and there's like multiple versions of the story as well, as along with like the different books and everything. There's a ton.
The one where he runs away is the one that I saw at the end. Light does.
Doesn't that version ultimately end with him on the stairs as well, or? Because I think that might be the one I saw as well. Yeah, that's the one I saw.
Yeah. I mean, I just felt like they could have done the same storyline with L. The way that they wiped him out too, it just was so kind of out of nowhere. Like they spent so much time building his character and having him everything up to that point. In real life, I would assume that it's because the actor got a job and at some other show, and they had to figure out some way to get him off the. That's the way it was written. Was like, oh, we weren't planning on this.
It's a very pivotal point, though.
Yeah, it is.
Like it makes you talk about the show.
Yeah, it's true. It's good. It's good water cooler information, I guess. Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't like that version. But the thing I liked about the movie is it cleans it up really nicely. So you have Elle is still alive. It all happens in the same room. His dad shows up. At Light's dad shows up, so he's also still around. And Ryu and all that is like it's all in one nice little box, and it's just a really nice ending. It's really well done. So if I was to pick one to say check this one out, that would probably be the one. But after that, you had 2007 Death Note Relight Visions of God, which is the second part of the series that most people are aware of, and then you have another movie comes out. The L changed the world, which has they took the L in world and made it capital, for L.
Oh, I didn't know they made a movie of that. I saw there was a book,
Yep.
but I didn't know there was a movie.
Yep, 2008 was when that one came out, and then they did Death Note Relight 2, which is L's successors in 2008. Then the most important Death Note release that there could be, Death Note the musical, 2015.
Oh, really?
Yeah, true story. You can go online and watch it. It's very interesting, and it was released in Japan, so
Take a
these
look.
are also Japanese
Inside my
actors.
book.
But they also did.
Colby ships.
Yeah, they also did dub it in English, so you can actually hear what the lyrics are. Then there was Death Note, again another live movie. There's 4 live movies in a row and a series after that. So Death Note in 2015, the miniseries, which was in Japan. You got Death Note New Generation in 2016. Death Note Light Up the New World was in 2016, which a lot of people saw too. And then finally the Death Note 2017 Netflix version, which had Willem Dafoe as Ryu, or as
Ryu.
Yeah, it's Ryu. Yeah, and he did a great job. Actually, I hadn't even thought of. I didn't realize it until I was watching clips of it last night that's who played it. And he did a pretty good job as that, but I hated that show.
Yeah.
I thought Netflix didn't do a good job with it. Did you guys see that version?
Or what's the
Just
review?
a-
That was a
No.
Just a trailer.
Yeah. If you didn't see it, I would encourage you not to. So anyway, it would be a waste of your time beyond the first episode, But anyway, yeah. So these are some examples of some shows that you can go out and check out. that you may or may not have been aware were around. And if you like this episode, let us know, because we might actually do this again. Also, if you enjoyed this podcast and want more, stay tuned and check out or join our community on YouTube that goes by the same name, Your Geek Fix. Be sure to check out Vinz on Twitter at MassiveDMG_ and on his YouTube channel, MassiveDMG. Check out James at Mr. Malto4 on Instagram and the Replica Prop Forum. And finally, check out Logan, D3EpsilonX2 on Instagram and YouTube. We also want to hear from you, so be sure to send your questions, stories, and other projects to yourgeekfix@gmail.com. In the meantime, this has been your Geek Fix.